In this chapter, I'm going to cover the photo painting palettes. And the photo painting palettes you can find under the window menu under Underpainting, Auto Painting, and Restoration. I'm going to show you that because I am in Phase Master Workspace, under Arrange Palettes, I have a palette all set up. I have a layout set up for the auto photo painting. And here we go. We have the Underpainting palettes, the Auto Painting, and the Restoration, which are 3 stages. These are the photo painting palettes that are in 3 stages, the way we painted in the traditional days. The photo painting palettes were introduced to us first in 9.5 and Painter 9.5, and it was a free upgrade. And now in Painter 10, you will see it's much more enhanced and there's much more control. Now, in the underpainting stage, that is where we are going to prepare our photograph to be used as a reference for the painting. So we're going to add color schemes and all kind of photo enhancements and maybe some edges, jagged vignettes. And then in the auto painting is where we're going to apply our brush strokes. And the restoration is where we're going to bring back information to focus our painting. So let's get started. Let me close the restoration. I'm just collapsing it. I'm not closing it. And under the underpainting right now, I want to choose a color scheme. I can choose an impressionistic color scheme. I can use a modern color scheme. And it's giving me over here a jagged vignette, which I have set from before. So I'm going to go to none, and I'll show you what that means. And basically, if I don't like what I did, I can just hit reset. And it brings me back to square one. So if I don't like any of the color schemes that are in here, and by the way, you could choose a color scheme from another photograph that you have in mind. All you have to do is open it and it will show up here. And you just choose that and it will give you the color scheme from that as well. Under Photo Enhance, we have lighten, darken, increase contrast, and so forth. I like to choose something called intense color. And what I'm creating here is a Monet, an impressionistic painting based on the style of Monet, and this is the recipe. First part of the recipe is to choose intense color. And depending on your image, I'm going to come in here and just bump up the contrast just a little bit and go down with the brightness. Again, it depends on the image. What you're looking to do is to really get away from that photograph, to saturate your image and give it a nice painted look before you even apply any brush strokes. Now under Edge Effect, you can choose a rectangular vignette or a circular vignette or a jagged vignette. Okay, and under here I can choose any amount of vignette that I want. I can have a lot of it or I can have just a little of it. And it already starts to look like a watercolor. But this particular image I want to have as a oil painting. And oil paintings are painted edge to edge. So I'm not going to apply any vignette at all. Now that I applied all my selections and I applied my photo enhancements, I need to tell Painter to apply what I just chose. And I need to choose Quick Clone. So what I just did was I created a duplicate of that image and I got rid of the photograph and I had Painter turn on tracing paper for me. So now I have a blank canvas with that photograph as my clone source. So I'm going to be painting now, applying strokes to this canvas based on the image that I just created. So let me turn off tracing paper now and let me start applying strokes on this canvas. So there's a few things I need to do now. I need to choose a brush, what to paint with. I need to have it in clone source and I need to choose a brush stroke. So I'm done with the underpainting process. I'm going now to the auto painting. What I need to do now is first show you the difference between a brush and a brush stroke. So let me select over here the first of the brushes from the recipe that I have prepared for you. This is an impressionistic brush. Okay. And over here I have something called Norman Rockwell. And this is a Norman Rockwell brush. This is Norman Rockwell doing an S stroke. And this is the Impressionist brush doing an S stroke. So first you choose the brush, and then you choose the stroke that you want that brush to apply. And we have strokes, many different selections of strokes that Painter has prepared for us. We have medium dab, hatch, circle, C, and I like to use size tilt modulate, and you will soon see why. So let me come in here now first and just get rid of what I just scribbled. And I'm going to go back to my first brush that I'm going to start painting with the Impressionist. But if I were to come in here and hit this green button and start applying strokes, it would start to paint for me in whatever color that I chose from the wheel. But you see, I don't want to paint with color. I want to paint with clone color, meaning I want to push this little guy right here, and it's ghosted. And now when I paint, it's going to apply let me make it larger, the brush, so you can see. It is going to apply for me the brush strokes in the color of the clone source, exactly lined up, which is taking the information from there. So let me undo that again. And what we're going to do now is start this process. We have over here a few different dials that we have to know what to do with. So we have randomness, and that's how randomly the stroke is going to be applied. Pressure is like opacity, and you want to keep that all the way up because you want it to apply nice, strong brush strokes. Length is how long and how long that brush stroke is going to get schlepped out. That's my New York favorite word, schlep. And rotation is how many times it's going to twirl as it applies that stroke. And brush size is determined this way. I choose the brush size from up here. So let's say I don't want to choose something too small because then it's going to come out thin. I like to start about 11, 12. And over here, the brush size, if it's 109%, it's 109% of the size that I chose up here. So I'm going to start first on the high side, almost to the full 200%. And I am going to use the full 100% speed. If you want to paint slowly and to start and stop and interact with your painting, I would suggest you use a low speed. But because I am demonstrating, I'm going to leave it on 100%. So now I have my brush chosen to paint with. I'm going to paint with clone color, and it's going to be taking the information from here. I have the stroke chosen, size tilt modulate, and I have all my dials here. The trick is to randomly to keep on alternating the brush strokes every time you start and stop, and you'll see, to make it look really like it's freehand. I'm going to push this little green button, and Painter starts painting for me. And I'm just going to click in the center, or if you click on this little square, which is red before, you close it. And the idea is first to fill up the canvas. But what I want to do now is just variate a little bit. The pressure stays up. The length I'm bringing down a little. Rotation I'm also bringing down. And the brush size as well. And I might bring down this brush size just a little bit also. Right now I can come in with a different brush as also. I don't have to stick to just one brush, but it has to make sense. I'm going to pick another brush from the artist category. I'm not going to go and mix oil and chalk. Although in Painter you can mix many mediums together, it should be interesting. But I'm going to pick another artist, Sargent brush, and make sure again that the Sargent brush is ghosted. And I am going to come in here and apply size bearing modulate. So you can change the strokes as well. And I'm going to go and let it ride a little. And I'm stopping. Now, if I don't like what was just applied, I can do an undo, a Command or Control Z. But you have to do it twice. Every time you apply a stroke, you have to do it twice. Once is the stroke that was applied, and the second time, we're going backwards, is for what you chose to do. So we have to undo it twice. Now, I'm going to go back to the Sargent brush, And let me apply the size tilt modulate with the Sargent. And let me just add a little squigglies, mishkabibbles, and just, to fill up my canvas with very brushy looking strokes. And I stopped it by clicking in the middle. Now, I am going to come in here and bring the brush size smaller. So by doing it smaller, it will start to bring in more detail. The smaller the brush stroke, the more strokes it applies and the more detail you're going to start to see. So here we go. I brought the painting a little more up to date for reasons of time. And now what I need to do is start to decide to finish it. So I'm going to vary it just a little more. I want to bring it just a little smaller. I want to bring the length a little bit longer, rotation down, and brush stroke down as well. And I'm back in size tilt modulate. I just want to bring in a little more detail, and I'm going to stop it. What I want to do now is I want to look at this image, and I need to bring now to do the restoration process. So after I applied all my strokes and it looks nice and brushy, it's time to bring back some information and then to apply more manual strokes, and you're going to see the magic happen. So let's go to the restoration process.